With so many crucial players injured, it is one of the better times to use your first wildcard. Welcome guys to another wildcard team that I've prepared for you. If you're one of the lucky guys that you've kept your wildcard up until now, you have a very good possibility to use it right now because, let's be honest, with so many injuries on basically almost every team, it's very good to prepare better for the upcoming fixtures. If you want to wait up until the end of the availability, it's good as well. But for me, if you're struggling to put up 11 or even 10 players, it's a very good time to use your wild card. In goal, I'm opting for two goalkeepers that rotate pretty well. Both of their teams are not particularly fantastic in defense, but with both of those keepers, you can just get a green fixture almost every game week. Sometimes you even get two green fixtures. So Leno and Tariola are making my starting line, my wildcard lineup. Rob Sanchez, Allison, Ederson, Johnston, Flecken, Nick Pope. Who am I missing? That's basically the selections. You can pick whoever you want from those 7 other guys. But for me, spending 9 million on a rotatable pair of goalkeepers, it's a very good option. I am not opting for defenders from those teams in my actual defense. That's why they are in goal. I have a lot of the mentioned teams defenders in the squad, so I don't want to double up even on a wild card. This week, for example, in Saturday, only Arsenal kept a clean sheet, so it's pretty difficult to rely on clean sheets. But Areola and Leno are making saves. They are getting good bonus points overall, so I believe that you won't go any wrong if you choose one of them. Rob Sanchez is a very interesting pick, but it's a little bit too early to go for a Chelsea goalkeeper, at least in my opinion, because they have two tougher fixtures going forward and they conceded 4 goals 2 times in a row, so it's a little bit tricky to opt for their goalkeeper. I've opted for a defender, and if you want to see who the other defenders are, let's go and jump to the defenders as my goalkeepers are already nailed. Going into defense, I already mentioned that I have a Chelsea defender in my side. It's Louis Cowell. Right now, he's recovering up to fitness from the injury that he had before the international break. But from game week 14 onwards, I believe that he will be an ever-present to their side as he was before he was injured. For me, Chelsea, when they get the better fixture run, will have okay record of clean sheets, so it's an okay option to go for that. They are now a little bit struggling. They are conceding a lot of goals, and if you don't feel confident enough, you can always bench Cowell and play the other 3 guys. But if you want to rotate Gabriel and Cowell, because basically those are the 2 guys that are going to be rotatable. Gabriel is in the Arsenal defense. They are playing pretty alright. He is the only team that kept clean sheet on Saturday. So yeah, for 4.8, you are getting a pretty regular clean sheets, especially away from home, where Arsenal are pretty good, if I have to be honest. But for 4.8 and 4.5, you can always rotate between good fixtures. If you feel someone else is going to perform better than them, you can always transfer them out. But for the upcoming Corona fixtures, I believe Gabriel and Cowell will fit perfectly in your squad if you have the ability to choose at least one of them. The 2 nailed options are the Liverpool and the Newcastle defenders. I know that Newcastle conceded a goal against Chelsea, but Trippier is as dangerous as ever. He has a little bit of a rough, tough patch of fixtures because he is getting a 1 and 2 pointers, but I believe the big holes are coming once again. And for 7 million, you cannot go better in your defense, at least in my opinion. Only Trent is more expensive, but the cheaper options that are premium options, I do not like them. I do not like the City defenders. They're a little bit leaky in defense. They've conceded basically in almost every fixture this season. Yeah, they're making some clean sheets, but against these oppositions, maybe you want to bet on that. But for me, picking Trippier for my side is just perfectly fine. And the final guy here that is going to play is a Liverpool defender. If you have the money, you can go for VVG or Trent, but I believe that Tsimikas is as good as it gets. Yeah, he didn't return any points against City apart from the playing minutes, but last time he delivered 15 points, so sometimes he will miss, sometimes he will deliver. Compared to Trent, he has returned even more, even though Trent scored now against City, but for 4.7 you cannot go any wrong. Even if he is benched, you have two other perfectly fine options in Gabriel and Cowell to put into your starting lineup. And the last defender here is a 15 player on the bench, who is Charlie Taylor. Here you can go for Jared Braithwaite from Everton, but Everton are just having a tougher fixture run, and Taylor is there to fit in if someone is heavily injured from your defense and you don't want to spend any transfer on the defenders. For me, Charlie Taylor is a perfectly fine option. Manchester United player are omitted here because I just don't rely on their defense a lot. They've kept several clean sheets in the past couple of game weeks, but they have been shaky for sure, and a little bit more of a tougher fixture run is coming if you and they perform. And if you want them, you can always swap Gabriel or Tsimikas for Luke Shaw maybe if he returns to full fitness, or Dawo if he is back into the side and playing regular minutes. So you have plenty of good options. Other teams that I'm missing, maybe Brentford is a good option, Wolves. But for me, Liverpool, Newcastle, and Arsenal are the three teams that you should own in defense. And the green run of fixture that is coming for Chelsea is tough to miss. So that's why I chose those defenders. City defenders, as I already explained, are omitted, but for sure I am not omitting them in my attacking lineup. So let's go and see how the midfield is looking, because it's heavily influenced by the injuries that are happening left, right, and center. As already mentioned, the midfield is the most influenced by injuries. A lot of players are being right now injured or just got injured in the game week 13 week. So we have a lot of tough decisions to make there. There are plenty of good options to go for. But now let's discuss who the injured players are. You have Bowen that is injured. You have Mitoma. You have Madison. You have Jota, who has been injured today. You have Eze, who I brought into my side for game week 13, 14, and 15 specifically, and he got injured and he's going to be sidelined for a bit. It's going to be devastating for my lineup. So yeah, you have 6 pretty solid midfielders that are being injured, and some that are being preserved because they are returning from injury. You have a pretty big problem if you own at least 2 of them. But with those 5 midfielders, I think you can cover all of your bases. I'm starting with Salah. For me, Salah is one of the best players in the Prem as a whole, and right now he's in such a good form that I don't want to go without him. 13 million, yeah, it's a lot, but he's playing against weaker oppositions now. They've played against Manchester City, so more points are coming his way. Saka, he assisted today the winner for Kai Havertz. And for me, he's going to be a detrimental part of Arsenal going forward, as he was already. They have 2 okay fixtures, then it's Villa, and Villa are a little bit leaky. So in the next 3 fixtures, I expect a lot of things from Saka. So I'm not going without an Arsenal midfielder for sure, and you shouldn't as well, even though a lot of players I see are going without any of the Arsenal boys. But for me, Arsenal players in midfield or attack are a must. Here is the Bowen replacement that I recommend the most, or as a replacement, or Mitoma, whoever you want to replace. It's Mbumu, 6.8 million of pure 90 minutes threat and a penalty threat and a set piece threat. He is everything you need in a mid-priced midfielder. You can get points basically in any game for him. He didn't have the best game against Arsenal, but let's be honest, it was against Arsenal and it was always going to be hard. But for me, 6.8 million is a pretty good price for a penalty taker. 90 minutes, perfect up until Tony returns. He can be in your squad. I know that he is having a blank game week in game week 18, but up until then, you should have replaced me maybe, or find a suitable replacement elsewhere, especially with the budget 98.7 only being spent. So you have a lot of money to tinker with your squad. But Mbumo should be in it, at least in my opinion. Gordon, 5.8 million. He has scored against Chelsea, assisted against Chelsea, and he's doing very well. I was deliberating between him, Palmer, and Eze, and I chose Eze because Eze had the easier fixtures. But Gordon returned today against Chelsea, and he was a pretty good transfer that I missed this game week, but we learn from our mistakes. He's nailed in the squad. There isn't anyone that is going to replace him. They have a lot of injuries, so he's starting in the Prem always. 5.8. You cannot go wrong with him. And Cole Palmer is another option here for your midfield. 5.2. You have the money to go even up or down if you want to save some money more from Palmer, but in my opinion, he is a very strong player. Their penalty taker, maybe when Nkunku returns, Nkunku will be on penalties, but now that is just a wild guess, and Palmer has scored every penalty. He can assist goals for Chelsea. He can do a lot of damage, so I'm picking him. You say that I have a lot of players that are going to play, and maybe I played in a 3-5-2. Yeah, that is the idea, but sometimes you can play a 4-4-2 or 5-5-1 with the forwards that I've prepared for you, so you can even bench anyone. But for me, starting those 5 midfielders wouldn't hurt you in a slightest. So yeah, that is the midfield that I've chosen for you. Now let's go and finish up with the attacking lineup, because I have a pretty spicy pick there and I think you will like it. And the spicy pick in the squad is Erling Haaland. No, I'm joking. Let's be honest, the spicy pick here is Solanke. Before discussing Solanke, if you enjoy my content and want to see more, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, write a comment if you enjoy my wildcard video and wildcard team. Do you think it's good enough to fill in up until the winter break when you have your second wildcard? Is there a place for a pure one, maybe with the budget that we have left up until the 100 and even above it? Just share your thoughts in the comments. But now let's discuss the fourth line. We'll quickly go over Haaland. He just scored his 50th goal in the Prem, and that should say a lot. If you are playing to win the Fantasy Premier League, basically you need Haaland. I know that he has blanked in previous span of fixtures, but now he is in a pretty good form, and I believe that he will be rested in the Champions League because they have already qualified, and you wouldn't miss anything from his playtime in the Prem because they're struggling there right now. Not struggling, but they need more points, so Haaland will be playing there. That's all that you should know about Haaland. Solanke, today Bournemouth won 3-1 to Sheffield, and Solanke wasn't involved in a goal. I was pretty surprised, but those things can happen. But I believe Solanke is a pretty solid option. 6.5 million. You can always bench him if you need to play 4-5-1 or something like that. For me, Solanke is a very good player. He is having a favorable run of fixtures. You can always replace him. You can go for Darwin Núñez here or Isaac, who is just back from injury. You can pick Nkunku, you can pick Watkins, you can pick Alvarez. You have a lot of options, but I've made it so that I can rotate Gordon, Palmer, Solanke, maybe with Cowell, Archer sometimes. I know Archer is not the ideal player to be rotated with, but you never know in what run of fixtures and what run of form Sheffield will get into. They lost today 3-1, but they scored a goal. So next time, let's hope Archer scores for the team's sakes. And the final guy here, as I already mentioned him several times, it's Archer. He is your 14th player in the squad, so he is basically your second bench option. You wouldn't use him in any other scenarios. You'll be basically choosing between Cowell, Gabriel, Solanke, Gordon, and Palmer, who will be bench one of them. The other players for me are starters every time of the year and in every fixture. I don't care about the fixture run, but yeah, you have to choose between a defender, a midfielder, and or an attacker who is going to be benched next to Taylor and Archer. But that's a good headache to have. For my example, in my real team, I have other headaches like my players aren't playing and this is hurting me. So if I had the wild card in my case, I would have used it, but I already done it. So if you are lucky enough to keep it so far and you have issues bringing in 10 players or 11 even, just click the button and it will be easier if you don't have 2 free transfers. If you have 2 free transfers, you can always fill the squad, but be prepared. A little bit of a change of fixture run is coming in 2 weeks time, so maybe then it's going to be the ideal time to click the wildcard. Just think about it. Think about the draft. You can improve some players. You can go to Saliba. You can go to Trent. You can go to Darwin. You can go to Sterling. You can go to even Watkins or Alvarez. You can pick a better goalkeeper. It's up to you. I here laid a base, and I believe that base is going to be pretty solid. You can pick at least 10 of those players, and you'll be perfectly fine. The other 5 can be differentials, but players like Haaland, Salah, Saka, Trippier, Tsimikas even right now, for me, should be in your squad and you shouldn't tinker about them. I hope you enjoyed the video, guys, but for now, guys, I'll be heading out. Bye!